Driving in the cockpit of my 2015 Ford Focus. I've had the car for about 3 years now. Got it brand new, off the truck, delivered from Ford. Still had the plastic in it. Nobody drove it but me, which was a pleasant surprise because I'd been looking for the base model ST1. Didn't want the navigation or all those things. Wife doesn't like leather, so I didn't want leather seats, which kind of stinks because the Recaros are pretty nice. I do like them. I test drove one with it. Been looking for a long time, wanted this color, magnetic, because I think it's one of the best looking colors for the Focus, while still staying kind of sleepery. I've had the car modded probably since the first month or so. Had intake, blow-off valve put on it within the first couple weeks just to get a little bit more noise going, because this car stock has the sound piped into it with something called the sound composer, which I wasn't really a big fan of. Didn't sound terrible, but once you had actual aftermarket parts on, it's kind of the sounds kind of fought each other. A little reasoning behind this car. My wife, we had a daughter and another baby on the way, and I realized I'm like, I need a different car. I was driving an Acura 3.2 CL 2-door. Love the car, but needed to get something a little bigger for car seats. Climbing into the back of a 2-door with car seats and getting babies out wasn't fun, especially with another kid on the way. And I narrowed it down to basically WRX, GTI. Those were kind of top of the list. Something, but I always had a soft spot for hatchbacks, so I didn't really know. I guess Mazda Speed 3 was kind of in the running, but I've never really dug the look of those as much. Around that time when I started looking, I didn't know much about the Focus ST, and I had kind of come across it, saw the 13 and 14. That's a pretty good deal performance-wise to cost and all these things, but I didn't really dig the look of it too much with the 13 and 14. But then when I saw the 15, the front bumper, the more aggressive front end, basically decided then, because just comparatively to a GTI, which was a little more expensive, I really just like the look of this. Let's open it up here. Take you to trash land real quick. So for mod list, like I said, when I first got the car, intake, blow off valve. After that, tune through Stratified with the Cobb access port. Catless downpipe, front mount intercooler from Levels, which is local, Central Florida. Really love that. Helped a lot with charge temps and different things, but I think that's about it. I do have an E85 or E30 blend tune that I run occasionally if I happen to be low on gas and come across a gas station that has it, which there's only like 3 or 4 in the Orlando area. So I've never gotten to the point of taking cans and filling it up to plan on. I don't really want to drive around with that just in case I get into a bit of a bind gas-wise. It's really nice though, you can switch the tunes around with just the cruise control buttons, and the tachometer shows which tune you're on. One problem from an aftermarket standpoint is the turbocharger is very, very small. So with a tune and different things, you kind of max out pretty fast on what you can do. like through the most delicate tuning and ethanol, you can get around 300 horsepower wheel, maybe. But most people end up, like I'm probably around on pump gas, 265, 270. Maybe bumps up a little bit more on the E30. The torque jumps up a lot with the E30 for sure. And that's the fun thing about this car is the torque curve is pretty crazy. I think while I say I have about 270 wheel-ish probably with this tune, the using virtual dyno and things, it's always consistent that the torque curve is way over around 340 on E30, which is a lot of torque for a 4-cylinder. So that's the benefit of that real small turbo. But with that comes the downside of it's hard to hook up. This is not exactly a good launch car for drag racing. But most front-wheel drive turbo cars have that problem. Like the best you're gonna see is around 5.5 to 6 second, 0 to 60. Future plans for the car is I do want to get aftermarket wheels and tires. I still am running the stock setup. This is my second set of Goodyear Eagle F1s, the stock tires that come with the car. I actually bought these used off another guy who was in autocross and got some better performing tires. I want to do something a little different. I want to go down to 17s from the 18s for the lightweight performance kind of side and get a fatter tire, just because I kind of like that look on this hatchback, almost kind of a muscly look. But I may hate it, I don't know, we'll see. But the lightweight savings, because these stock wheels are pretty dang heavy, I'm excited to see getting rid of that unsprung weight on each corner, dropping down about 10 pounds on each corner with the lightweight 17s will be a really nice performance benefit. But it may be harder to launch even after that, since the wheels will spin so freely because they're so light, but I'm willing to risk it. One plan I do have down the road is to probably change the blow-off valve. It's not terrible sounding, but it's just not the greatest noise. Let's see if, I don't know if you could hear it. Let me do it with the window down. So with just those little stabs of throttle, it actually gets boost pressure in there that it has to release. So driving around, 6th gear, barely going, you kind of give a little bit of throttle, go maybe 5. So it's not a terrible sound. Some people like it. I don't mind it, but at this point I'm thinking I'm gonna go back to the bypass valve that comes with it stock, but maybe do an aftermarket one through Mount Tune or different companies that aren't so loud. It's held up great, does good. The Turbo Smart 5050 one that I have. I'll put the windows down so you can kind of hear the exhaust. I do have the pops and burbles kind of tune from Stratified. That's the only thing for full bolt-ons that I don't have is exhaust. I have the resonator, the stock resonator, which is huge. It's like this long, cut out at a muffler shop. And I do have a catless downpipe from Levels. So that gave me a lot of the like turbo spool up noise. It gave a lot of that, but I don't have a very loud exhaust note. It's mostly intake and turbo noise. And out the back, you can kind of hear the exhaust pretty good, but interior cabin wise, and that's one of the reasons I didn't really, I've got the car seats in the back, I'm driving the babies around, they're sleeping, I don't want the drone kind of hitting them. But once they get a little bit older, I'll probably upgrade to the full catback exhaust system. Get on it right here, let you hear it a little bit. Good little run. I didn't do it there, but the Cobb access port has a really nice built-in feature now where it enables flat foot shifting. So when you're doing some of those, getting on it longer, going through a lot of gear runs, you don't have to lift your foot. It cuts the power, and the 5K range holds it there and doesn't let it over rev and hit the limiter a bunch. So it's not that hard on the car. I don't do it all the time because it's not the best plan to just flat foot shift everywhere, but on those like 3rd, 4th gear pulls, it does helps you keep the revs high pulling through. The stock turbo with the stock tune definitely runs out of breath in the higher RPM range. So the tune helps kind of push. All these like little driving clips I've been doing are pushing usually straight to red line in 2nd gear. It holds it pretty good. But without that tune, the stock tune definitely, like after 5K, you hear it just kind of, you feel the car losing that boost. So I definitely recommend an aftermarket tune. But if you really wanted to change kind of the power band, you'd have to probably upgrade the turbo, which I probably won't do. I don't know, because I plan on keeping this car for a very long time. So who knows? You can change your mind on that kind of stuff. I may or may not want to do something more to it down the road. But right now I kind of like where it's at. That's the really fun thing about this car is the amount of power that you have anywhere. So I'm doing 20 now, this is 3rd gear. If I just kind of roll on the throttle. Yeah, that was right up to 50 with barely any, and it was 3rd gear. Like in my Integra, that I would have only made it about 10 miles an hour faster by that point, and the car would have been struggling. So the amount of torque that this thing has almost is a cheat for daily driver situations as far as getting the power down. And once the car is already moving, it really is fun. I do apologize for this video taking so long to get out. I meant to do it last weekend, or earlier this week, and managed to have a sweet rock on the turnpike kick up from a semi or a truck. I don't know where it came from really, but final destination moment just hit my windshield, scared the crap out of me. Right at my face level, hit so hard that the safety glass, it didn't break all the way through, but it pushed the layers of the interior safety glass, like sprayed in on me as I was driving. So before I felt that and I looked around like what hit me, before I even realized that there was a big old knot on the windshield. See if we can get a little launch here and tear through this little turn area. I love driving through here. This is probably where I'm going to set up the little test track, but I've got launch control. So we've got a launch control at 2500. Brake. Came in a little hot on the throttle, get the outside. Brake. 2nd gear, back on throttle. Woo! But with that, we'll do one last little run through here, and I'll see you guys next time. The next video, I'm gonna do a little walkthrough on data logging and virtual dyno with this access port, and a couple of little secret spots I know that are really good in Central Florida. Don't have to worry about traffic, fences on both sides, safe area to do the data logging since you need a pretty good amount of space. That's a lot of spin. There you go. Let's see if we can kick out some oversteer. There we go. Oh, a little bit. See you guys later.